Here we are at Nekchand's Rock Garden in Chandigarh. This place is brilliant. You know, it's 10 rupee for children, 30 for adults. It's full of like repurposed materials from, I believe, 80 something villages that were destroyed when Chandigarh was being built, and other materials from the construction sites, I think, that were unused or broken. And it's just like, it's brilliant, huge trees, beautiful plants throughout. And that's one of the brilliant things in Chandigarh is lots of places that are free or cheap, all different types of parks and gardens. Here you can see that you got swings set up all throughout here. People can go on swing sets. And they've got fun mirrors back there, and they've got like aquariums of different types of fish with little explanations. Little doll museum here. And then there's a ton of concrete used throughout here, which goes in line with Courvoisier's vision, like my understanding of it. You know, which you can see his all throughout Chandigarh. You can see his vision for, you know, of construction and urban planning, which is pretty fascinating. Like, I'm not a big fan of his, but I appreciate just having a different vision of how cities can be set up. And it's, you know, full of parks and gardens and greenery. And you've got the Shivalik Hills, the foothills of the Himalayas, in view in a number of places in the city, from Sukna Lake. It's an artificial lake. So lots of water, lots of greenery in the city. Nicely designed, it's kept up. The medians, the islands between, you know, in the roads are kept up and full of flowers and plants, and well manicured. The city's clean. Looks like they've got a nice working infrastructure. This is impressive. The only thing that I've seen that's maybe comparable to this and was maybe influenced by this in part is the City Museum in St. Louis, Missouri, which is also brilliant, but it's not nearly on this scale. Although I believe the designer of it, he passed away a few years ago, and he was working on a larger site, so he may have been looking to do a bigger park type of place, sort of like this. I don't know. Maybe if you know, leave it in the comments. But this is quite brilliant, and it's just lovely. I like, the only thing that I think would be even better, but I mean, maybe I'm just limited in my thinking on this, but there's such a variety of trees and plants throughout here. It would be nice to have a little bit of signage, maybe in English and Hindi, throughout this area. I mean, look at all these swings. It's like, so people can come and spend a whole day and enjoy themselves. I really like that. I think that's quite brilliant, because I think that we're running into trouble as far as cities are concerned with some of the dark visions that certain people are putting forth. But as far as urban design, whether you're talking about, you know, a city of any scale, metropolis, there should be lots of green space. There should be lots of free and cheap things to do, things for families, everything. You know, it's like we should center things around families, and raising families in safe, healthy environments with lots of trees. The best way to deal with carbon is always trees. So we should have a very close relationship with trees, and our urban areas should be full of trees, including fruit and nut trees, berry bushes, things that people can harvest and utilize for their own personal uses, and then commons for people to use, for people to grow larger amounts of produce and whatnot in order to buy, sell, and trade. You know, and there should be workshops learning how to make various crafts. Also, something else that this place made me think of is that when we've got tons of abandoned suburbs and cities around the world, um, giant trash dumps, and like, why not have we already have separation facilities for recycling plants and everything. First off, we've got to do something with the plastics besides recycle them. They're toxic and poisonous. They don't break down properly. It's basically like a chemical and biological weapon all around us, and it negatively impacts all creatures, not just humans, and all ecosystems that are interconnected. So we need to figure out things, healthier ways of disposing and eliminating plastics, um, whether they can be utilized for fuels in a safe way and filtered properly. I don't know. But I would say, though, that we need to separate out the plastics, and then everything that could be reutilized for construction purposes, like this is a really great example of what to do with old materials. And there could be like workspaces and workshops and videos and books available for people to learn ways to build up gardens. And we could have beautiful spaces for community gardens. There's so much potential. And then anything that could be composted. Obviously, we should be starting with compostable materials at home, paper products. Anything that can be utilized, again, should be used in a variety of ways again and again until it's done. But we need to eliminate the synthetics and the plastics from our environment and come up with better options utilizing bamboo and hemp and plant materials, plant source materials that will degrade more easily. And then we need to build things to last and that can be repaired and even reconfigured in a variety of ways over the years, whether we're talking about vehicles or homes or public gardens, whether we're talking about community gardens with garden boxes and common spaces for growing small, medium, and large crops. So here we've got fruit trees, looks like citrus. No, but that's that. So oh, look at this. This is very cool. So many interesting designs strewn throughout here. Apparently Nek, I don't know a lot about him, but he was working on this project in secret for quite a while before it was discovered, and then I believe some people tried to prevent it from going forward. But then somebody saw his vision, and then they started assisting him with it, and then this became a community project. And why shouldn't all cities and communities have something along these lines? We've all got, and then old historical homes should be rehabilitated if they can be. And then what can't be rehabilitated should be the parts and the pieces should be repurposed for public and private usage. You could do so many things with the as far as the rehabilitation of homes. This would be a good way. Everybody should have employment and creative, meaningful employment. So it'd be very nice if communities, people could go and learn how to rehab houses and how to build their own homes. Every single person in this world should have their own home and their own gardens, and everybody should know how to grow their own food, how to make their own food and their own medicines. Like, why not? Like, we're at a point where, the people who are putting forth visions for humanity are putting forth disgusting, ugly, horrible visions for humanity. Like, we should come into harmony. We should reach our potential as an organic species. And the synthetic, toxic should be minimized and eliminated and prevented. We should go as organic as possible and heal our world. And one of the ways we could heal it is using non-toxic means of repurposing old products. But we will have to figure out what to do with these plastics and the chemicals that have been utilized over the past 150 years around the world, but especially within the 20th century. These people, these brotherhoods and sisterhoods have done such a tremendous, not only a disservice, but they've warred on life and acted as if there are no repercussions to this. behaved as if they have no responsibility and there's no cause and effect, regardless of what you call it, whether it's karma, what you sow you shall reap, what comes around goes around. They think they're free from consequence, and that needs to end, and it needs to end now. We really don't have time for this nonsense anymore. And we have so much potential, and this is an example of a place with a bit of a vision. It doesn't mean we have to accept this vision wholesale, but there are elements here that are so brilliant, and we need to look to the genius. Now, and also think about this. During all these man-made, constructed, manufactured crises of the 20th century and even before that, all around the world, manufactured famines, droughts, weather catastrophes that were basically that humans were at fault because of mismanagement of resources, manipulation of nature in a variety of ways. And so droughts, famines, malnutrition, and dirty water, dirty air, etc. These things that are man-made crises. How many geniuses did we lose? How many people were not educated the way that certain so-called elites claim we need to be educated to? Like Nek Chan, I was watching this little documentary, this video about a man from Sicily who lived in Southern California, I think maybe in Fresno area, and he built these underground gardens, an underground farm, a citrus farm, and it was super brilliant. And people like Nek Chan, people like him, and unfortunately I don't remember his name off top, but I think it's in Fresno. And if you look up underground farms, underground gardens, you might find him. And he was a brilliant man. He had no training in construction and engineering and architecture. Neither did Nek Chan. And yet both individuals brought us genius and brilliance. How many did we lose, men and women, over the years, that if we offered genuine education rather than indoctrination, if we ate the healthiest organic foods and had clean living water and clean air, proper sunshine, and that we had a society that was full of healers rather than manipulators, and that we discouraged pathologies and healed people of pathologies rather than encouraging them and exaggerating them. Man, this world, it could be so different. It would be a heaven on earth. And we have so much potential as a species. We're a brilliant, beautiful species, and we were created that way. It's like we have so much potential. So anyway, these are the type of places that can kind of trigger new insights, even if you don't like it or appreciate it beyond a certain point. If you can appreciate the innovative way of thinking, a fresh way of seeing, pull outside of an old constructed way of thinking. Look, he deconstructed toilets and this was part of the old sitting, the step toilet. I forget what you call it, the sitting toilet, not the Western style. This is porcelain from sinks and from kitchenware, old tiling, concrete bags. And then you look at also, the space houses, the bag house movement, the tiny house movement. All these things, they hold tremendous potential. Things like Frank Lloyd Wright, his vision. Look back to Sinan in Anatolia, in Turkey. And, we need to look to our great thinkers about how to lay out places for people to live, but we need to think about healing. How do we heal ourselves and our world? First, we must prevent new toxins from entering. We must, and where we can't prevent, we must minimize, and then we need to eliminate toxins to the greatest extent possible. And we need to replace toxins with that which is healthy, and build up our bodies, build up our marriages, grow our family lives, grow our communities, and return to a balanced state in harmony with nature. We need to purify. We need to purify ourselves, purify our bodies and our minds of all of these disgusting, ugly satanic conditionings. And when I use the word Satan, I'm using it in the original sense, the etymological sense of an enemy of humanity, an enemy of life. So there's much to consider. It's getting dark now. They're shutting down the garden. But this is an excellent place, and one thing that I would say before going is that Chandigarh, while I wouldn't say this is one of the top places to see in India, if you are a thinker, if you are a contemplative, if you are a creative in any way, creative individual, this could be a good place to come to think, because it's to come and just to think about other ways of considering building and design and use of various products and tools. So anyway, much to consider. I'll go ahead and draw this to a close, but we can turn back the tide. But first we will, we do need to see justice established. But one of the ways of establishing justice is to begin with ourselves and rethink, what am I eating? So we need to get to purity and ethics, that which is in harmony with nature, and that repairs our bonds and doesn't break our bonds further with our body. Like your body, you are responsible for trillions of organisms that are within you. You are deeply interconnected to all things in this realm. It's inescapable when you contemplate it, when you consider it, when you study it. So we need to find a way to, once we can break free from the devilry, from the devils and devilry, then it is inevitable, and it is completely within logic in every single way. We have to purify our world. We have to clean and detoxify our bodies, our minds, and our world. So this would be a multi-generational task, and everything that we do must consider the next few generations, 7 generations out, however you want to conceptualize it. But we certainly need to think about things in some fresh ways. And we can't repeat these cycles any longer. It's done. It's reached its climax, and we have to move in a different direction, one in harmony with nature, in harmony with one another. We have to break free of dogma and dogmatic thinking and unhealthy ideologies that are harmful and disharmonizing. So we're getting ready to leave and walk out of the park, out of this amazing Nek rock garden. So I'll bring you some other videos soon, maybe about the rose garden and the Capitol complex, and just to kind of think about materials and design a little bit. I'm not an architect, I'm not a gardener, but this place is getting me thinking. So let's consider these, and let's problem solve together and find a new way of doing things. It's like old toilets or something. Old toilet. It's also interesting the way he would use stones and pebbles and lava rock. He used a lot of concrete as binding material and mortar. These almost remind me of some things from Central and West Africa that I've seen, which is pretty interesting. But he's got amphitheaters through here, giant castle walls. It's a fantasy land. This is a great place to bring children and families. Fascinating. There's lots of places to sit and relax. They've got garbage and recycling facilities throughout. Filtered water is here. Got a gift shop. Snack facilities, you can get some water out front. I'm pretty impressed with Chandigarh on the whole. Like I wouldn't say well, it's not not the most beautiful city in certain ways. It's one of the more interesting cities, and I think it's a very livable place from what I can tell. If you happen to be from Chandigarh or have Chandigarh connections, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the matter, and especially if you're involved in architecture, design. I love the location as well. Kind of where. So, it's kind of just where it's located, right at the foothills of the Himalayas, not far from the desert, and kind of where in the watershed of the Indus rivers and the Ganges rivers, and where they all run through these areas very near. So I guess that's also good for electricity in the area, but then that leads to the controversy and the challenges with damming, which is always problematic, it seems. Wow, this is a massive place too. You're going to need more than an hour to visit, but I highly recommend it. It's a very, very interesting place. And I think you could definitely get some ideas maybe for your personal garden at home, for some decoration within your home, within your property, for community gardens. It can also be park spaces. Every single human should be able to and know how to grow foods everywhere. We should have greenhouses, garden boxes, community gardening plots. Look at this. These are old bangles, broken plastic bangles. This is interesting. And then here's old toilet parts. And Lord knows this stuff gets buried. It's not utilized. We're utilizing it's just taking up space. Why not make things available for creative use, like maker spaces, and you have access to it's like where parts can be used. It could be school projects. Every school should be a museum and a library research space where children can learn how to be creative and ethical and responsible. Yeah, these areas very much remind me of these dolls. They remind me of certain figurines I've seen from Central and West Africa. Very interesting place. Let's see. Now we've reached the end. And so here we are at the rock garden, Nek Chand's rock garden.
कर लो सर फोटो कर लो